Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. Of course this weekend we have the magnificent fight between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk for all the marbles at heavyweight, undisputed. But today, I want to talk about a fight that goes down on the undercard. Also a heavyweight fight between Agit Kabayel and Frank Sanchez. Now these two guys are very well matched on paper. Two guys who are contenders, continuing to look to work their way up for a title shot, and they square off. In fact, you look at the records of both of these guys and they're pretty much identical. Both guys have a record of 24-0. Frank Sanchez has 17 knockouts, whereas Agit Kabayel has 16. These guys are so well matched on paper. Both guys are also 31. I know we doubt that with Frank Sanchez, but on paper, they are both 31 years old. Frank Sanchez is 6'4", whereas Agit Kabayel is 6'3". So you look at both of these guys, physically, record-wise, they are very well matched, very evenly matched. And the fight itself is actually intriguing to me. Now, a lot of people are going to say this one may not deliver in terms of excitement, and I can certainly see that. In fact, I believe this will be a bit of a chess match, but while it's happening, I think it's going to be one of those fights that is intriguing to see how both guys approach it. Kabayel, of course, is going into this fight with a lot of momentum based on his last performance against Arslanbek Makhmudov, and I think that performance is leading a lot of people to pick Kabayel in this fight with Sanchez. And don't get me wrong, Kabayel looked really good against Makhmudov, but let's be honest man, Makhmudov really played into Kabayel's hands. You know, Makhmudov just came onto Kabayel, no real defense, swinging away like a caveman, which gave Kabayel the opportunities to open up and land those counters, the uppercuts, etc. And he really took apart Makhmudov, who was very basic to say the least. If you look at Kabayel's career though, and you've been following him throughout the last few years, that sort of performance is very rare for Kabayel. He doesn't usually look that destructive, nor that powerful. Kabayel is a guy who likes to get behind the jab and fiddle with the lead hand, and really kind of make it a fencing chess match. He likes to box with his opponents. You know, we saw that in fights with the likes of Kevin Johnson, for example, and even back in the day against Derek Chisora, which is, you know, another good win of his. He really kind of took the back foot approach against Chisora and outboxed him and neutralized him. But, you know, he wasn't taking any risks. He was playing it very safe. And that's really been, you know, Kabayel's style throughout his career. And I think people are reading into the Makhmudov fight a little too much. Yes, he was much more expressive in that fight in terms of offense, but he could be. You know, Makhmudov was so open, and after a while, Kabayel was so sure he could avoid the shots, he could see the shots coming. He was really opening up, but that's not Kabayel's game usually. And he's fighting a guy in Frank Sanchez who is, like himself, a guy who is safety first, likes to box behind the jab, can box on the back foot, likes to keep it at range. He doesn't give you much, he doesn't take many risks. He switches off at times, Frank Sanchez. You know, we've seen him hurt a couple times in his career, most notably against Scott Alexander. But once he gets in his rhythm, Frank Sanchez is a hard guy to dissuade from that rhythm. And again, that's how he mainly fights. Sometimes he goes through the gears and throws combinations, etc. But usually he plays it safe. And when I look at these two guys, when I see these two guys match up, one thing I will say is Frank Sanchez has quicker feet on the back foot, and I think he's got the ability to make Agit Kabayel chase this fight. I think he's got the ability to make Kabayel take the lead and, you know, fight on the front foot. I think Kabayel may be left with no choice other than to fight on the front foot. And from what I've seen of Kabayel, that's not really his game. Yeah, like I said, if you stand in front of him like Makhmudov did, he can go through the gears and land some nice shots and combinations, but Sanchez isn't going to do that. He's going to be boxing behind the jab, trying to take the play away from Kabayel, and I think Kabayel is going to be forced to take the front foot in this fight. just because Sanchez is a lot more fleet of foot than Kabayel. Kabayel does have good feet, but they're not as quick as Frank Sanchez. And overall, I don't think Kabayel is quite as mobile as Frank Sanchez on his feet. And I think that could be a big factor in this fight. Again, Frank Sanchez does have moments where he switches off, and maybe Kabayel can take advantage. Kabayel does have pretty quick hands, to be fair. And maybe Kabayel could take advantage and maybe hurt Sanchez, but when I look at this fight, man, I just see it being a competitive boxing match that Sanchez is always ahead in. Kabayel will have his moments here and there. If Sanchez elects to trade or hold his feet, I think that's where Kabayel has success. But, you know, it's up to Frank Sanchez to not allow him to do that. If I was Kabayel, man, I would definitely be focusing on the body in this fight, trying to slow those legs down of the Cuban. A lot of people are picking Kabayel in this fight, and it is competitive, don't get me wrong. Would I be surprised if Kabayel won? No. But looking at the stylistic matchup and having watched both quite extensively, I think Frank Sanchez probably wins this one on the back foot, to be honest. Maybe winning like an 8-4 type of decision. But, you know, both guys are unbeaten. Both guys are going into this with confidence. Especially, you know, Kabayel, no doubt, you know, coming off a career best performance, arguably. So, yeah, both guys are up for it. Both guys are unbeaten. It's a WBC, some sort of eliminator, I believe. So, there's a lot on the line here. And, you know, both guys are going to want to make a statement. So, we shall see what happens here. But if I were to guess, if I were to pick, if I were to make a prediction, I would say Frank Sanchez wins this one on points, UD. 8 rounds to 4 type of fight. But yeah, that's how I see it. Interesting fight though. Interesting fight. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Delboy. Peace.